Hello, this is Frank Falvey with Frank Presents, and again, I want to welcome Jeffrey Roy.
Thank you.
You've been here before, and when you were elected to the town council.
Yes, indeed.
Now you're running for state representative for the Democratic nomination, which will happen in September. And if you don't mind, Jeff, if I just take a minute and tell the audience that as of today, State Representative Valley has officially resigned and is no longer a state representative. He will be devoting full-time to his new job, and it will be a year before he can do any lobbying, if he's going to do any lobbying. So officially there is no longer a state rep. But my instinct is that Dick O'Connor, his aide, will be remaining in the office. So if you need to reach the office or carry on any business, give the State House a call, ask for Dick O'Connor, and I'm sure he will be able to accommodate you. I don't know, Jeffrey, but my sense is that whoever wins the election will not become the state rep until January, and that this is not, in essence, a special election to fill a seat.
Right.
Would you agree with that, or do you know?
No, that's exactly how it would be. We're on the primary to get to the general election in November and then sworn in January. The only group that can call for a special election would be the House of Representatives, and it is my understanding that they don't intend to do that for this particular seat.
Yeah. Jeffrey, getting back to the do you prefer being called Jeffrey or Jeff?
Whatever you're more comfortable with.
Okay.
I answer to both.
All right. Where did you grow up? Where were you born?
I was born in Milford, Mass. So obviously I did not stray too far from where I grew up. Lived there until about 1983. And then in 1983 I did 1 year in Chicago when I did my first year of law school. Then it was to Uxbridge, and ended up in Franklin in 1986. And this is where we have made our family home, and plan to stay here for a long time.
You went to school in high school in Milford?
Yes, I did. I went first grade through high school in the Milford public school system, got a great education, and it prepared me well for later on.
And then you went to Bates, as I remember?
Well, I had a brief stint at Worcester Polytechnic Institute.
Okay.
I went there for 2 years under the dream of being a computer scientist.
Not a jazz player.
Not a jazz player. And then after 2 years there, I transferred to Bates College in Maine.
Okay.
1 year at DePaul University Law School, and then got back to Boston College Law School, where I graduated in 1986.
Where did you meet your wife?
Met my wife actually at work. She was one of the paralegals in my office that I started in right after law school, and we met there, and then after she had our first child, she stopped working, and just recently is back into the law business herself for
Is
the
she
last
an
few
attorney?
months. She's a paralegal.
Paralegal,
Yeah.
yeah. And you have how many children? Two?
I have three.
Three,
I
I
have
thought
a daughter who just graduated 2 weeks ago from Bates College, so it was nice to see her walk across that same stage that I walked across 29 years ago. I have a freshman, actually she's going to be a sophomore next year at Boston College, and a son who's going to be a junior at Franklin High School next year.
Oh, great, great. So you're also, when you came to Franklin, ran for the school committee and was soon elected its chair.
Right.
And you served as chairman for 10 years.
9 years, actually, but...
9 years,
Yep.
okay. And you've been a town councilor now for a year.
Yes.
You know, Franklin is really a young youth community. What did you learn or what are some of the observations you've made as chair of the school committee?
Well, a couple of them. I mean, Franklin Public Schools has 6,200 kids in it. That's roughly 1/5 of the population of Franklin are in the public school system. That's a school system that's equivalent to a place like the city of Lowell, Brookline, big school districts. And so the first thing I learned is we have a very large public school system. The other thing I learned is that Franklin is truly a community that cares about education. And I'm not surprised by that, given that Franklin is the birthplace of Horace Mann, the father of public education. And I always thought, as I was working on the school committee, what better place to be a top-performing public school district than in the birthplace of the father of public education. The next thing is I learned was the dedicated staff that we have in this system, from the people who greet students in the parking lot, to the bus drivers that take them to school, to the cafeteria workers that serve them their lunches, the educational assistants, the teachers, the administrators. These people are all dedicated to the task at hand. And I think when you put all of those things in perspective and combine them, that explains very well why Franklin has been and always will be a high-performing school district. It's one of the things that drew me, as somebody looking for a community to raise my family, drew me to Franklin, and as my kids were getting into the system, was why I actually ran for the school committee to maintain that commitment as a high-performing district and to help attract and retain the best and brightest teachers in front of our students.
Because we grew and we were a growing community, we hired a lot of young teachers. Now I would suspect that they've been here for quite a while. How has that maturity been a good thing? And the longer they've been here, has that helped the growth of the Franklin school system, or has there been any negative because they've been teaching so long?
Well, I think one of the great strengths of our teaching system is the mentoring program that we offer. And the teachers who've been here for a while have served as tremendous mentors to those younger teachers. So in that respect, it's been a great boon to our system. The other thing that I don't know that many people realize, but we have a lot of growth within our system. For example, our current superintendent started out in the Franklin Public Schools as a special education teacher.
Your
Worked her way.
high school principal was a music teacher.
Right. So you see a lot of growth within the school district, and I think that's a testament to having great mentors and great leadership in the district, that you can have that type of growth within your system. And I don't know many school districts that can boast that.
How do you see the youth that are attending school? Is there any particular quality or disquality that you've observed of Franklin students over the years?
Well, one thing we do know is that our kids today are being educated and have to be educated for a global economy. They're no longer competing with kids from Medway, Milford, and Bellingham for jobs in the local area. They're competing with kids all over the world for the types of jobs, some that we don't even know what they're going to be. The economy and the world has changed so much. So I think one thing I see is that rather than training kids to go out in specific fields or specific jobs as it used to be 30 years ago, we're training kids more to learn how to learn and to learn how to adapt to the ever-changing economy. And that's a tremendous transformation that's taken place in education over the last 30 years. These kids are so bright today, and I look at some of the homework and books that my kids are bringing home, and I'm thinking they're being educated at such an advanced level today. It's so encouraging that I have tremendous faith in the future of this country that we're going to hand to these young minds.
Are we still teaching some foreign languages in first and second grade?
No, the elementary foreign language programs have left. That's something that we'd love to bring back. I know it's something we talked about for years because that's when their minds are most receptive to
To foreign
foreign
language,
languages. But unfortunately, with cuts in budgets, that was one of the things that had to go over the years. But my hope is that sometime that will come back, and I think as the economy begins to change and more money becomes available, you may see those things come back.
One of the most amazing things for me, comparing, when I went to school, which was a long time ago, is the mathematics. The mathematics that I was learning in high school are being taught even in elementary school. Yeah. I mean, the mathematics at the early teaching of the math is really unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, they dive in at a very early age, and there was one blip that we had probably 5 or 6 years ago with middle school math not performing as well. We redid the curriculum, redid the system, brought in a new math program, and we've changed for the better in the area of math for our kids at that level. But they are doing things at much earlier ages nowadays.
As state rep, in looking back at what you've learned in education in years as chair of the school committee, are there things that you want to change or modify or as a state rep?
Well, I think one of the more important things that I learned, and one of the strengths that I think I'll bring to this job, is my intimate knowledge of what goes on at the local level, in local government, and in local schools. One of my pet peeves being on the school committee was this notion of unfunded mandates that oftentimes came down from state government and dictated how local schools had to do particular activities. I often thought that there was a lack of sensitivity to what was going on in local government and in local school committees, and I think I'll bring that sense of empathy and understanding to me when I go to this, if I go to this job on Beacon Hill, and I'll talk to my colleagues about really looking at the impact of any legislation that we propose. And another piece, and I know that the auditor's office will do this on request, is to determine what is the financial impact to a local community for some of these mandates. And let's not enact legislation until we've looked at the financial impact on local communities, and until we can find a way to fund that particular activity, so as not to make legislation burdensome to communities, but actually a way to boost those communities and actually follow through on what it is we're trying to establish through legislation.
What committee would you like to be on?
Well, I would serve at the pleasure of the Speaker of the House. I certainly have an interest in education. I certainly have an interest in the judiciary, and I think those would be types of areas that I'd like to follow if I do get the chance to go to Beacon Hill.
Have you thought